Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning from Australia, where it's currently 6 a.m. and shaping up to be a very nice day. What we're going to go ahead and have a conversation about today is to talk through what we mean by high performance in context, how we match the proposal team cultures and the context of $1 billion win, drawing all these pieces together, what this meant about changing the context of a client relationship from one where winning seemed hopeless to winning became not only possible but obtained, and following through with our normal question and answer session. Now, I have done a separate webinar already on the power of context over human behaviour, and I'm going to refer to a little bit of that as we go through to set up the story for success today. One of the most important things in terms of human behaviours and dynamics is the context that we are in. Isn't it true that fundamentally we are a social species? We're not a species of lone wolves. We interact. Some people interact a lot more than others. But the main point is that it's entirely normal to who we are as part of that. And the team social context simply means what kind of interactions are we having within our team? And how healthy they are is going to call out how successful we are with whatever initiatives we're going to look at. And this governs human behaviour. It governs team performance as well, and very, very strongly. And as a refresher, this is so powerful that what Gilbert found was that 75% of the time it trumps performance. Can you believe this? That your interactions with a team are so powerful that it could actually trump your ability to perform even some of the most highly skilled teams on the planet. And this is, if you think your context like a magnetic field that's driving the behaviours, you can't see that there are any, you can't see the magnetic field in play here directly, but you can see its effect in filings. And perhaps you might have done this experiment when you were at school as well. Now, it's pretty clear that the most effect and immediate effect we could have upon the filings would be to change the field, change the magnet. You shift the filings. Now, that's a little bit like what social context is like. In fact, you're in one right now in the context of normal behaviour for a webinar. Let's take this a little further forward. This, when Gilbert said that 75% of the time the context trumped, in fact, ate the skills for breakfast of that particular team that was in a flawed context, let's remind ourselves of some key failures. It was found by Congress that Challenger was caused ultimately by a failure of leadership, allowing dangerous, broken behaviours to continue onwards. And I refer you to Diane Vaughan's excellent book, The Challenger Launch Decision, to see how NASA went from the 1960s, from a culture of requiring large, thorough technical arguments to launch, by the mid-1980s, large technical arguments not to launch. Clearly, they're poles apart as behaviours. With Columbia's burning up on re-entry, Congress found, again, the same root cause. A failure of leadership allowed a context to get going where dangerous, broken behaviours were okay. And it's so important to understand this key point. Leadership has an enormous role in shaping the context. Context is what's okay for us. You might know it as the way we do things around here as well. And it's ordinarily invisible to us in the same way, and we don't notice this in the same way you don't notice your breathing air until I just said that. Hubble was famous for having the flawed mirror. Congress finds the same failure again as part of that. This is not just a NASA thing. This is an international thing. Korean Airlines crashed repeatedly in the 1990s with a crash rate far in excess of industry. The ultimate root cause was having behaviours, not skills. These are some of the most highly qualified and skilled pilots in the world, and now quite a safe airline to travel on. But having the behaviours that did not promote good engagement in the cockpit. Again, each one of these is a flawed context. So addressing this can be very powerful, not only in avoiding disastrous failures, but also in promoting success. And that's what we're going to have a look here. We must have a simple way to diagnose how healthy our team is before we lose, or to find ways in which to work more efficiently together and win. There are 4 key dimensions. This is from the 4D system by Dr. Charlie Pellerin, that must be addressed for us to perform well. See if you relate personally to these. The first need is the need to feel appreciated or valued. The next need is the need to feel we belong to something, we're included. Abraham Maslow talked about these in his hierarchy of needs when he was speaking about what humans seek in terms of motivation, or what are we compelled to seek. But understand that these are neurological. And when they're absent, when somebody doesn't feel any need to feel appreciated whatsoever, you see some very strange behaviour. When somebody doesn't feel any need to be included whatsoever, this is often what drives hermit-style behaviour. The third need, we must have hopeful and realistic futures. When this is missing for us, when any of these needs are missing or not being fulfilled for us, we become quite distressed, especially when it's chronic, and we usually leave the situation. And the last need, and importantly, we must have the ability to meet others' expectations. The story I'm going to talk today about $1 billion win is around the blue and the orange, because while blue is all about ideas, concepts, ultimately for people, orange is all about having things in the detail, organised, controlled, predictable, routine. It's not as simple as saying that the blue is the innovation space, the wild blue sky space, and the orange is the grounded, controlled, but that's a useful parallel to keep in mind, because most organisations, if you were to shade what colour they are predominantly, will be blue or orange. For example, universities tend to be very, very blue, scientific organisations, whereas more traditional businesses tend to be orange, directive in their nature, especially when they're process-driven. One is not better than the other, but there is a time and a place when they're fit for purpose. And when you are interacting with other teams, other organisations that have a different overall shade to them, it can cause significant problems if you're not aware of that. Challenges can be from, hopefully, a range of faces you will never see in your life, in real life, but it can cause a lot of frustration and disconnects, and quite unintentionally. You can think of moments in your life when another team, another division, another organisation has taken behaviours or exhibited behaviours and made